we're going to have on Friday, because I think it's important now. We're going to have a stager and a photographer and start talking about, okay, now's the time to really get you home looking sharp, because I do think we're going to see a bit of a bounce. Nobody really knows, because the magic crystal balls and wands are not doing that. But I want to go back to the agent question, right? We've been around, we're not BS people, right? Do you think we're going to see less agents this time next year, and if so, how many?
Oh, I think that...
Does the hobbyist agent go away?
Thank you.
Very straightforward. Does the hobbyist agent?
Actually, no, because there's a lot of agents that have been in the business for 20 years that it's I hate to say it, it's a little bit of a social club for some of them. And so they stay in because they can. It's not necessarily how they make a living. They enjoy it.
That kind of thing.
They're good, and they serve a certain market. The ones that could get beat up are the ones that thought the last 2 years is how it's always going to be. So if you're newer to the market and you had some pretty good deal flow early and you thought, gee, this is great and fun and I'm making terrific money, well, you're going to have to make a shift in your mindset there. And so I do think what we'll see, Jerry, is more of the part-time realtor.
Yeah.
I think they'll drop out because it's not worth it for them. Coming up soon, we have to pay a bunch of dues and things like that.
So to your point, I call them dual career realtors, where we talk to real estate agents all the time, right? This is what you and I do a lot of, and I've seen this weekend at least 4 of them that I've been having conversations with. You know what? I'm going to focus on this career, and I'm not going to focus on the real estate career. So I think you're going to see, numbers-wise, a substantial change. I believe it's 50%, I may be wrong, but 50% of the car agents just do 1 or 2 deals or 0 deals. The rest of them, are very different. Not that they're...
Tommy Brannick likes to say 15% of the agents do 90% of the deals.
Thank you for saving me, Jerry. Yeah,
I think that's it. I think that's right.
Yeah. It used to be 20%, and that number may just constantly go down, which encourages me, and I don't mean this, to speak negatively about it, but when I've got Jeff Gaffney on the other side, I know you're a pro, I know, and there's always problems. There is always problems. And the second thing I've known from doing this for 3.5 decades is now's the time when weird stuff starts happening, right? Every deal, always something strange pops up that didn't happen this time last year. And that's when you need the pro on both sides to navigate your way through.
Let me give some encouragement, though, to that newer agent. I don't want them to think I've thrown them under the bus. I have seen in the last few years, a very good inflow of some excellent real estate agents that I think can make it. Part of it will be a lifestyle decision for them. Is this how they want to make a living? But I'm very impressed in general with the quality of agents at Carr.
Yeah, I would agree.
Very impressed.
We get at the national level noted for that all the time.
Carr is Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors.
This is a great question from Wild Bill McChenzie in the city of Charlottesville. Jeff, do you think some of the older homes will be completely regutted to the studs, or remodeled, lipstick on the pig, or potentially even demolished and built again now that you've said the lots are pretty much sold out in the neighborhood?
I think that's coming sooner rather than later, because there are some incredible home sites where, let me go back, in Florida, oftentimes you would see a home site be 50% of the value of the entire purchase. In Charlottesville, our builders hate that ratio. They like the home site to be like 20%.
Sure.
But on a regional basis, so what we would see in Glenmore sometimes is the builder would say, you've underbuilt that beautiful home site.
Of course.
So to answer...
Wild Bill McChesney.
To answer Bill's question, I think there are home sites in Glenmore where you could do any of the above that he mentioned, including a potential scrape job.
You would see that, really? You think that?
I think so.
Wow. Wow, so are those, you're saying those would be golf course lots, sunset view lots, or riverview lots? Is that what we're talking for those?
I think you could drive around the neighborhood and see a beautiful home site with a smallish home on it. And I think, and then there are also, in any given community, there are also some homes that are in disrepair. Like you could walk by and say, what's going on
So
there?
I can speak that at Lake Monticello, and this is happening, and it's been happening for years. The waterfront homes that were built in the 70s, right, in the early 80s, you know, it was a vacation community. It was not supposed to be a bedroom community when the original concept, they're being torn down, being built up. Golf course lots are being torn, you know, the homes that were built late 70s, early 80s are going to do that. But you guys hit on to something that is going to happen here, because as the rubber band contracts, right, because that's what's going to happen here, the micro markets matter, right? And you're going to see that. You're going to see downtown Charlottesville, Glenmore, some of these older subdivisions that have older homes, they're 100% right. They're going to tear them down. Somebody with cash is going to tear them down and build it up. I've seen it in other subdivisions.
How do you value the tear down homes?
I think you got to go straight to the
the dirt?
land.
Yeah.
To the land, and then, you know, can you buy and it sounds crazy to us because we have a Charlottesville pricing mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So we say it's crazy to buy a $700,000 home and tear the home down and build a $2 million home on top of that, but that's happening all across the country. And particularly the major metropolitan areas. You see it all the time. And our pricing is still incredibly affordable compared to anything in the Northeast, and that's without even talking about real estate taxes.
So I can't.
That's a great take, Jeff.
I can't give specifics, right, because what we do for a living. But I had a phone call this weekend from somebody looking to do something with $3 million for a 1031 exchange. And the question was asked of me, I want to go ahead and buy some stuff in downtown Charlottesville because of the rezoning that's going to happen, the upzoning,
Yeah.
for that very reason Jerry just said. And that's out there. That conversation is happening. But again, you know, there's not going to be another Glenmore, right? There's not going to be another Lake Monticello. There's not going to be another Old Trail, right? I think Old Trail's a long way away from
Kevin
doing
Yancey
this.
just put on the feed in Waynesboro. You guys are talking Belmont. You're
Yeah.
doing it right now in Belmont.
That's-
We're tearing down the houses, the cottages, the tiny ones, and building 800, 900,000, $1 million homes, to his point.
That's exactly right. So you're going to start seeing that because our jurisdictions are not allowing new development,
Right.
right? And that's just going to put the rubber band's going to contract, but it's still going to be a tight market within that rubber band for years, I think years to come. And unfortunately, you know, it impacts the entry buyer, right? Because the upper end buyer is going to have a better position than the entry buyer, and that's where this generational separation, I think you're going to see.
Well, let's talk, why don't the take on the first-time home buyer for Jeff? I mean, you got kids that are in their 20s. I mean, you're a real estate guy, know the value of real estate. Is it 4 kids?
Four
Yes. Kids. I mean, how about the take on that? I mean, you got interest rates flirting with 7%. You got home values that undoubtedly escalated during COVID, perhaps to unattainable values for a first-time home buyer that's competing with the baby boomers that are downsizing.
Yeah.
The baby boomers are directly competing with the first-time home buyers now.
Or they don't want to sell their houses.
Right.
That's what's really impacting the market is Mrs. Smith wants to sell, Mr. Smith does not want to sell, so at the moment, we're not selling.
And it's not only the boomers. I mean, look at, I'm a millennial. We got an offer on a house that was significant, but where do we go?
So
In other markets, we would have sold.
to speak to that, without giving too much personal information, my youngest daughter married a doctor, coming back from Seattle to here, from his residency to his, I forget what they call it, when the next level, whatever it is.
Fellowship.
No, I think he's actually going to be a doctor, whatever it is. I can't remember the terminology. But he had multiple offers in Virginia, and he's picking a place that is going to be a little bit less money, but he can buy a home. And the good news is we don't have to fly across the country, may have to drive a couple hours to go see our grandson or granddaughter, whichever they should happen to be. But that's what's happening. It's impacting people, those particular buyers. And these are doctors. This is not, the teacher or the fireman or the cop. I mean, where do they go, right? This is why I dedicate so much of my time to the Land Trust and all these different organizations.
Let me go to Jerry's question. It's not exact answer for Jerry's question, but this is what I love today for the first-time home buyer. And I put a lot, I have now to the point in my life where friends are asking me to help their adult children buy a home. And I have put a lot in townhomes or small single families. But I'll tell you the product that I absolutely love. I love Brook Hill Commons on 29 North, just past the river. They build these condos there for $350,000. They're 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths with a 1-car garage. They're new, 9-foot ceilings, and when you walk in, they are all decked out. Quartz countertops, all the fixings, stainless steel
Here's the deal.
appliances.
Last year I was buying that at 2%. Now I'm
I
buying
know.
at 7%.
I know.
So my monthly payment, which that's how buyers buy homes.
Yes.
My monthly payment substantially just went up.
And I know Mike Buczynski's going to chime in, and it's a condo, so you get kind of dinged on the financing there as
The
well.
non-warrantable.
Well, we don't know if it's warrantable or I think they're all non-warrantable over there, if I remember correct. Excuse me, they're warrantable over there.
They're warrantable there?
They're warrantable. I
Okay.
think you can buy there. But the thing is the condo fees,
Yes.
right? So now my mortgage just went up.
It's
Oh,
$200.
Buczynski just said he's the approved Stanley Martin lender for that complex.
There you go.
Buczynski's trying to close some deals in the comment section right now,
I
Jeff.
tell you, I mean, it's amazing product, and when you look at, so your choices as a first-time home buyer, go around town and look at a 30-year-old townhome.
He says it's warrantable.
30-year-old townhome versus a brand-new condo, even though you have the condo financing and the condo dues, those are things you got to think about. But I still think that's best in show for a particular first-time home buyer.
So we're counseling our daughter and our son-in-law that same very comment. This is, look, well, I want to buy something cute that I can fix up. Well, hold it. He's going to be working 7 days a week. You're a teacher. You got a little kid. Why don't you spend a little bit more money, go into new construction in the area that they're going, and then, depending on how they want to set things up, maybe they can hold it and rent it and move into something else
Well,
down the
and
line.
plus new gives you, everything's under warranty. It's a new roof, new appliances, new HVAC, and so new for that first-time home buyer that just doesn't have time.
So talk about a feeling. So we're closing our 25th Land Trust home. We've got a partnership with Stanley Martin Homes over at Spring Hill Village in Avon Park, putting first-time home buyers in 215, 225 homes, and that put a family in a townhome on that new construction. When you have a conversation, you don't have to worry about your refrigerator. You don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about all those things. It's covered for a year, and they're kind of brand new. And the tears that roll down is well worth every time that you put in, all the energy you put into that. So you're 100% right.
Multiple folks asking Jeff Gaffney the Waynesboro take. In fact, Higgins says this, and it's a great analogy. If Western Albemarle is our fingers, Waynesboro is our elbow. It's 10 minutes from Crozet. Am I way off, or is Waynesboro the next huge opportunity? Please ask Jeff.
There's two areas that have, for the last 20 years, have been dubbed the next frontier. Waynesboro is one of them, and Zion Crossroad is the other. I think both of them now, their time has come, because if you live in Western Albemarle, Crozet, half of your shopping now is over in the valley in Waynesboro, and so it is becoming closer. You do have to deal with crossing the mountain, however, so there is that. But it's beautiful. The quality of life in Waynesboro is excellent. Sometimes it feels like, in a good way, that you're stepping back in time, in a good way, I say that. And the pricing is favorable. So yes, there's a lot to like, including every time I get anywhere near the Blue Ridge Mountains, I always gaze in wonder. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Lifestyle's off the charts.
And so maybe Bill was asking about, for the first-time home buyer, I think that is a consideration, for sure.
So I can speak to that a little with some specific detail. I've always said Zion's Crossroads was the next best thing. I'm walking that back, actually. And the reason I'm walking that back is we're probably a good 2+ years before we get more water there. They do not have enough water there to go ahead and do that. Other side of the mountain, hands down, I help developers acquire land. I help developers go through the rezoning process. I can tell you there's multiple deals that I'm working on the other side of the mountain. The next big thing is now green. I'm on the other side of the mountain in green. There's about 2,000 lots that are about ready to come in Greene County. They just got control of their water system back, which is huge. So they have control of their own growth now on that end of it. But Zion's Crossroads is unfortunately a few years out. They only have like 80,000 gallons of water per day, which is nothing. Just to put it in perspective, Lake Monticello uses 500,000 gallons of water a day. So.
A lot of comments still coming in, guys, and we're getting up close to time here, so we'll try to get to as many as possible. Multiple folks are asking if they would see, or if we could see, a Glenmore in the Waynesboro area for Jeff Gaffney.
There's so much risk in that now. I mean, it really takes deep pockets to do a project of that size. And so for Frank Kessler, it wasn't, there was certainly a financial return, or as Keith just mentioned, return on investment. There was certainly a financial return, but there was an emotional return for the developer there, that it would take that over in Waynesboro. If somebody had the passion
Project.
I think that the land is available, the natural beauty is there, and so I hadn't thought about it until you just posed that question, but I would say, yeah, maybe.
I don't see a Glenmore-style subdivision over there, just knowing what's on the boards. More of the mixed use scenario.
That's right.
on that end of it. The other side of mountain land is now getting expensive because it's being found, right? So prices are going up on that perspective. But back on the emotional part of it, those who watch the show know we lost $17 million through the time of great unpleasantness, and one of the subdivisions was Nahor Village that I did was a 55 and over, and on my way in, I see the maples. I planted $100,000 worth of maples, and they're turning red, and it's like it's not about the money, it's about the vision, it's about the goal, and it's finished, and people are living in it, and it's functioning. If Mr. Kessler was alive today, I believe he would say the same thing. It's not about how much I put in my pocket or how much I got taken out of my pocket. It's about the vision and achieving something and driving down that boulevard, right, and going, hey, this was my vision. I mapped it out on the back of a napkin, and here we are. And that's what makes the difference.
Yancey calls, this is great, and Jeff, you jump in. Yancey calls Waynesboro, this is great. Waynesboro is now old Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Greed has traveled west, and we've dubbed him the mayor of Waynesboro, and he's seeing more Charlottesvillians in Waynesboro than ever before.
And to tack on to that, there's conversations out there in the sphere of Harrisonburg.
I think Harrisonburg, too. Our company has had offices in Waynesboro, Stanton, Harrisonburg. I think all of that. At one time, pre-2008, the Golden Road was I-81. Anything on 81, north or south, going down Lexington, on down, and north up to Winchester, that was all seen as the next frontier. Things cooled off a bit when that recession came in, but I think all these areas that you're mentioning, I think they have a future.
Each little peaks and valleys in our industry has their own little flavor, right? And they're never exactly the same. I honestly believe we're not going to have a 2000, a time of great unpleasantness again, but the market is shifting. It'll be different. It always is different. And, it's a matter of bringing the skills to the table. And Jeff, we're coming up on a wrap-up time. We spend some time together, but not a lot of time together. This has been awesome.
Unbelievable. Seriously.
Well, thanks for having me on. I've had a blast. Please have me back. I have more Frank Kessler stories to tell you, especially going back to the early Glenmore days. There's a lot of fun stories to share, but you guys have been great. You're both doing a fantastic job for the community. So
how about this from Kelsey in the neighborhood? Jeff, are you still clocking 6-minute miles?
We got to talk about that. We got to talk about that. How's your running doing?
It's going well. Have me back another time. We can go deeper on it. But I'm doing a thing called Run for Pacham. Pacham is an organization that helps the hungry and the homeless in our community. I've been at it for a few months now. The next event for me that I'm looking for sponsors for is in 2 weeks. It's the Charlottesville Half Marathon. And then I've got more things planned, hoping that my ankle holds up.
Oh, man, doesn't it suck getting old?
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
my ankle blew up after my last running effort, but...
Uh,
Your recovery used to be like, boom, and now it's like, just thinking
Kelsey,
about
the answer is yes. He's still clocking 6-minute miles. Yes.
This is a little quick.
Well, so do you still think you're about 20-something when you get out there and do it?
Gosh,
This guy runs up Piper Way, and this is like a legitimate...
Yeah.
That's not an easy run, wouldn't you say?
There are times when I feel great out there and I feel like I can compete again, and then there's often times where I'm brought back to earth, and it's usually the next day, the recovery.
Well, I call it Zen running, so keep it up. I do it on the bike now. I'm a recovering marathon runner. I can't run anymore because of some injuries, and so I'm on the bike. I've got it on the back of my truck, and this evening I'm going to do a little bit of a bike ride. It gets my head straight and think about what I got to do the next day.
Yeah, it feels great. And in Glenmore, we get to run, most of my running is done on the equestrian trail down by the Rivanna River. So it's my happy place, no cars, very few people down there, and it's just a beautiful place. It helps kind of ground me, and then finally, it helps me kind of actually think. I feel kind of Frank Kessler spirit around there every time I run.
Jeff, you are a host's dream. I sincerely mean this. He just hit a grand slam. I mean, let's use a soccer analogy. Hat trick.
Hat trick, thank you.
For Jeff Gaffney right here, the CEO of Real Estate 3. Fantastic show. Multiple folks are asking where they can watch the entire program. We archive it at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Also, wherever you get your podcasts, this show is live and airs on every social media platform known to mankind. This is social media used for the good here on the I Live Seaville Network. The I Live Seaville show is up in 58 minutes, where we have frank conversations about things that matter to this community. For Jeff Gaffney and Keith Smith and Joey Rifkin, who flexed his muscles out there, going outside, telling the people working the drill, stop right now. We're doing a live show. This, guys, is Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. We will touch base with you now in 57 minutes. Take care. He's going to